So, full transparency here, I went into this game with literally zero expectations. Because, let me explain myself. They lose in a shootout to Pittsburgh, right? So, we're feeling kind of okay about that result. And then they lose to Tampa. They start to go downhill a little bit. And then the last game against Florida, they just fell off a cliff completely. And their defense is continuing to drop like flies. More on that in a minute, but there's something oddly satisfying about going into a game not expecting anything and your team wins against one of the top teams in the league in the Buffalo Sabres. So the Sens win by a score of 4-1, and this game kind of felt like a snooze fest for most of it. You'll see why once I go through the shots, but I don't know. It was weird. It's like neither team really looked that interested, especially in the first period. Dude, I could have easily fallen asleep in the first period, no lie. But um, this is a huge win, and the Sens are going to end off the night sitting in a playoff spot again. I'm sure it's going to change again, probably. But yeah, they're back in the second wildcard spot. So I did do a watch party for the game tonight, so I do want to thank everyone who came out to the watch party tonight. I had a lot of fun, as I always do. So, Game 75 of the season was played on Thursday, April 2nd against the Buffalo Sabres. It was a 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern start time. This was the third meeting of the season between these two teams. So, Buffalo won the first two, so the Sens avoid being swept by the Sabres this season, so that's good. Starting goalies were Linus Ullmark for the Sens and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the Sabres. And Ullmark played really good. He let in one goal. I mean, he ends up having a really good save percentage for once, which is nice to see. Sens were 38, 26, and 10 coming into tonight, and the Sabres were 46, 21, and 8 coming into tonight. This team's been on a roll, like, basically the whole season. So, yeah, just again, it was a weird game in the sense that it kind of felt like a snooze fest for most of it, and this game could have went either way. I said it I don't know how many times during the watch party. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into the stats for tonight's game. All right, so let's take a look at the stats for tonight's game. So the Sens win by a score of 4-1 over the Sabres. The Sabres are now 46, 22, and 8 on the season. The Sens are 39, 26, and 10. So they'll be looking to get their 40th win in their next game. So, and you look at the stats, this was incredibly even. Shots were 24-22 in favor of the Sens. Face-off percentage almost dead even. Sabres have a slight edge, 50.9% compared to 49.1% for the Sens. Both teams go 0-2 on the power play. Penalty minutes were 19-9, with the Sabres having the most. We also had a fight in this game between the captain, Tkachuk, and Stanley, and that probably goes back to when Stanley sucker punched him in the game earlier in the season, back when Stanley was with the Jets. So probably has something to do with that, I would imagine. And just kind of touching on that fight a little bit, I really didn't see a whole ton of emotion from either team until that fight. So, again, it felt like a snooze fest for a majority of this game. So, anyways, continuing with the stats here. So, hits were 32-24 in favor of the Sens. Block shots were 16-10 in favor of the Sabres. Giveaways, 14 by the Sabres, 13 by the Sens. And the takeaways were 4-3 in favor of the Sabres. And this was the final meeting of the season, so they will not meet each other again until maybe playoffs. Wishful thinking, probably, but yeah. So again, I did do a watch party, so I did not take any notes for the game. So we will go ahead and run through the scoring summary. So the first period, no goals to report on. The shots were 6-4 in favor of Buffalo. Like, yeah, 6-4. The shots in the first period, no goals. There was nothing going on. There were no big hits. And I'm like, it feels like nobody is going to score tonight if they're going to continue playing this way. So we roll into the second period, and the Sabres do open the scoring at the 8:49 mark of the second period. Matthias Samuelsson scores from Byram and Krebs. Sabres go up 1-0, and this was their only goal of the night. So then, later on in the period, Dylan Cousins would answer with his 26th of the season from Tkachuk and Gregg at the 15-18 mark, and this would tie the game at 1. So we go into the second intermission, and we're tied 1-1, and it's very even. Again, not really too much going on. We have a couple of goals, but the shots end up being 9-8 in favor of the Sabres in the second period. So they're 15-12 after 2 periods. Like, not a lot of shots. But, like, I thought this was going to favor the Sabres. I've always felt like if it's kind of a snooze fest, it favors the road team. But I guess not tonight. So then we roll into the third period, and Lars Eller would score at the 5:55 mark. A nice deflection by him. His 5th of the season from Zub and Fogel, and the Sens go up 2-1. So the Sabres pull Luukkonen pretty early, I feel like. I was kind of surprised at how early they pulled him. And Ridley Gregg would score an empty netter, his 12th of the season at the 17:42 mark of the third period, and that makes it 3-1. And they would also add another empty netter. Pinto would score at the 18:42 mark to make it 4-1, his 20th of the season, and 4-1 ends up being your final. I'm having a hard time talking again tonight, but yeah, again, you take out the 2 empty netters, then you're looking at a 2-1 score. This game was really close, and it could have went either way. And before I go into the stats, like, this was an impressive win. I cannot wait to look at the ice time for the defense, by the way, because they lost another defenseman. Clevin went out, I think he played like maybe 2 minutes, and he took a shot off the face, didn't come back. So they played this entire game with 5 defensemen, basically. And you look at who's out. We all know who's out still. Sanderson, Shabbat, Jensen, they're all out still. Yeah, so this was really impressive. So we will take a look at the stats now. So starting off with the forwards, Gregg had a goal and an assist. I'll go back to the 3 stars as well. I skipped that. So yeah. So Fogel and Tkachuk had an assist as well. Pinto, Dylan Cousins, and Eller all had a goal. Plus minus, Gregg was +2, the only +2 for forwards, and a lot of +1s. Wow. So Tkachuk, Pinto, Nick Cousins, Amadio, Dylan Cousins, Fogel, and Eller were all +1. Ice time leader was Pinto with 2010. Shot leader was Dylan Cousins with 6. He had a goal, of course, as well. Block shots, we got Gregg, Dylan Cousins, Nick Cousins, Zetterlund, and Tkachuk all with 1. And the hit leader was Stützle. He had 5. So now looking at the defense, I cannot wait to see the ice time here. So for points, Zub and Spence both had an assist. Plus minus, Spence was +3. Zub and Thompson were +2. Matt and Palla was -1. He was the only minus tonight, actually. Yeah, Matt and Palla was the only minus tonight. Interesting. Ice time, wow. Spence plays a total of 30 minutes and 48 seconds. Dude. And he played well. +3, had an assist, 30-48. And this game didn't even go to overtime. That's nuts. And I'm looking at this right now. Clevin played 148. He had 3 shifts. That's crazy. And again, he handled it well tonight, I thought. So Spence and Matt and Palo led the way in shots with 2. And Spence also led in blocks with 3. And Spence and Matt and Palo led in hits with 2. And if we look at the save percentage for Ullmark, oh my god, this is so refreshing. He stops 21 out of 22 for a .955 save percentage. Oh man, I have not been able to say that too many times this season, so that is really refreshing to see finally. And yeah, not too much else I want to say about this one. This was, I'll say it again, just a bit of a snooze fest for most of the game, especially in that first period. And this could have went either way easily. And this is a huge win for the Sens. So if we look at the standings, they are currently sitting in the second wildcard spot. The Red Wings and Blue Jackets are tied with them in points, but they have played one fewer game than Columbus, and they have 4 more regulation wins than Detroit, so that's why they have that wild card spot right now. So yeah, this is I really do feel like this is gonna come down to the wire. Like, just it is insane when you look at the standings. Like, Washington is there too; they're 3 points back. Um, it's gonna be, it's not gonna be good for anxiety, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see who the last one standing is. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this one, guys. So the next Sens game will be on Saturday, April 4th, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Start Time. It is an afternoon game, and it is not an easy opponent. They're playing the Minnesota Wild, so yeah. They're currently on their 5-game homestand. This will be game number 2, and there are no easy opponents during this 5-game homestand, so yeah, just a big win here. Hopefully this gets them kick-started, because I have not liked the way they played the last few games. Even tonight, really. They do win 4-1. I'm not going to complain too much when they win, obviously, but just, again, that first period especially, where they got 4 shots, just they're, one of their biggest issues, I feel like, has been just starting on time. Like, it looks like they're not ready to start, so hopefully that's something they address, and we will see if they can carry this momentum into Saturday against the Wild, because they are not going to be an easy out. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. The Sens win by a score of 4-1 over the Sabres, and they will end tonight in a playoff spot. Alright guys, thank you all so much for watching, and go Sens go.